The MMA world can be pretty unforgiving, and sometimes it feels like this place, this space that we are all in, is like one big playground, and we're all just going around saying a bunch of mean stuff to each other, and then we fix it at the end of a month with a good fight. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be making the case for why Colby Covington deserves to be the #1 hated athlete on the roster. The pound for pound #1 most hated athlete on the roster. Out of all the people in MMA, Colby Covington might be the biggest soy boy loser we have in the sport. Before we get into that, I don't like to front load these videos with too much nonsense. I usually like to just get straight into it. But this weekend at UFC 301, we're going to be doing a live stream all the way from the very start of the card. I know there's a lot of MMA YouTubers live streaming doing live streams during the pay-per-views, but if you want to pop in before your favorite ones go live and say hi, or if you want to pop in if there is a massive moment during the Usyk fight, come and check out the channel, come and say hi. Also, we're going to be releasing a new banner for the channel at UFC 301, which is going to look pretty sick. Now, let's get straight into this with Colby Covington, okay? Where do you really begin with Colby Covington, all right? After that pathetic performance against Leon Edwards, he went and called out Wonderboy, right? But after responding to the fan backlash because of just how much of a weak call out that really seemed to be for calling out Wonderboy, he said that Wonderboy was trash talking him, and the whole MMA community was just like, Colby, Wonderboy has never trashed anybody in his life. So he seemed to change gears, change direction, and then he went out and called out Ian Garry. And when he called out Ian Garry, he put down these 3 stipulations. And at first, the 3 stipulations, it was like, fine. They were funny. They made a good narrative for the sport. They gave us something to talk about and meme at for that week. But now that we are months past that, it's time to put the funny jokes aside, Colby Covington, and actually say yes to the fight, yeah? This might be one of the biggest mistakes of Colby Covington because he started this war with Ian Garry. He called Ian Garry out, but now he's hiding behind this ridiculous excuses of the stipulations. One of them being that Ian Garry's wife has to get down on her knees and beg Colby Covington for the fight. Maybe if he asked her to get down on her knees for something else, she would have said yes, but she's not getting down on her knees to beg Colby Covington for the fight. He is hiding behind these stipulations. Colby Covington just did a podcast with the Hodge twins. Check this out. He is still hiding behind them.
Conor McGregor is set to headline. Covington also said he is searching for an opponent who could propel him back into title contention if he wins, explicitly stating that Ian Garry ain't that guy.
So what you got coming up? Future, you got any fights or?
Yeah, I'm gonna fight this summer for sure. Someone's gonna get fought. So, they're trying to figure out who the biggest name and the best business that we can do for the UFC. So,
So is he probably gonna be your next fight?
Nah, I'm gonna probably have to fight someone else to get back to him. So whoever, there's this kid that's been calling me out, this kid Ian Garry, he's a nobody. I gave him some stipulations. I said, hey man, if you want to fight me, you have to show me you're serious about business, because when I do business, I'm serious about it. He has to show me he's serious. He was supposed to be.
Colby, this stuff isn't going to happen. None of those stipulations are going to happen. And now Ian Garry has come out again and again and again, reacted to it and said that he wants this fight. Let's fight. It's Colby Covington that is the one that is holding up this fight. Colby Covington, right, not taking this fight and saying that he won't agree to this fight because of the stipulations is the good old pricing yourself out of a fight tactic, where you go around the internet saying that you're happy to fight anyone, anywhere, any organization, anytime, any weight class. All the promoter has to do is back up a truck of $100 million in cash in your front door. The promoter won't do that. The promoter won't back up a truck of $100 million in cash as a deposit before the fight even happens. Oh, that's not on me. That's not my fault. I'd happily fight anybody, but they're just not willing to pay me, mate. It's complete bullshit. Let's put all this together, right? Colby Covington hasn't got a single win over anybody in the top 15 over his division. He sat out for months until he got his undeserved title shot. Then he rolls up to the press conference, stumbles over all of his lines, makes fun of Leon Edwards' murdered father, and then when he actually has the fight with Edwards, he looks like Colby Covington in the first 2 rounds of the second fight with Kamaru Usman, too scared to throw a punch for the entire fight because he's worried that his jaw would get cracked again, and if it wasn't for his jaw, he wouldn't have a career. Then, after looking like a deer in the headlights, just being a pussy during the entire fight, one of the most pathetic performances you were ever going to see, right up there next to Rose Esparza 2. He gives this speech after the fight where his hero, King MAGA, is walking out of the building on him, turns his back on him and walks out. Then after all that, Colby Covington goes on Fox News and blames a broken foot and no shit, literally blames the judges because apparently he knows that they vote Democrat and all 3 judges sided against him, even though Colby barely threw a single punch. Then calls out the nicest guy in the division for being a shit talker, and now he's finally ducking a contender that actually wants to fight him. This is why I'm making this video. There are so many times in MMA where people like Ian Garry get nothing but endless hate from the fans. There was a time last year where it was almost an entire month where the entire MMA community was just based on hating Ian Garry. Belal Muhammad's whole career is on pause because the UFC are just trying to age him out because nobody likes him. Merab Dvalishvili was universally hated by the fans. Alexander Volkanovski, in his early run, was constantly booed by the fans. I get it. I do it all the time for Gamrot and Aljamain Sterling. I get it. But if there's one fighter in MMA that deserves to be at the top of the list for the most hated fighter in all of MMA, it's got to be Colby Covington. All he does is run his mouth and he's not getting in the cage. At least when Cyril Gane ducks contenders, he fucking does it quietly, right? But Colby Covington is going out and doing podcasts and ducking contenders at the same time. If Colby Covington's foot is the reason that he can't fight Ian Garry at 303 on the McGregor card, that's totally fine. Manchester makes a bunch of sense for Ian Garry. Put Colby Covington versus Ian Garry on the Manchester card. Or Colby Covington versus Ian Garry on the Madison Square Garden, on the John Jones-Stipe Miocic card. There are plenty of cards that fight can't happen on if your little broken foot still isn't healed up 6 months later. Jesus, man. So, to Colby Covington, shut up. Just shut the fuck up. Put your hand down your pants. Adjust your cock and balls into the let's do this position. Stop paying OnlyFans prostitutes to hang around you like you're some dumbass rich kid teenager whose daddy just gave them 20 grand. And look at the real fighters, right? The Justin Gaethjes, the Dustin Poiriers, the Yuri Prohaskas going after Rakic. Look at fighters that see a scary #1 contender and say, yep, this is the moment. This is the moment, okay? Get in there and fight Ian Garry, or please, for the entire sake of the MMA community, just piss off and retire with 0 fans. All these fighters talk about what are they going to do once they're done with the fighting game? What are they going to do after they're done in the cage? And essentially, they all have a fan base that they can sell a good product to, whether that's a workout plan or a diet plan like McGregor Fast, or an alcoholic beverage like Proper 12 or the one that Aljamain Sterling is working on, or sports commentary, or their own YouTube channels, or opening up their own gym. It's all because they have a fan base that they can create a product and sell it towards. It's not that hard. But if you're Colby Covington, you are on a fast track right now to having no title shot, no career, and no fans. Just being a loser of a thing by the end of the day. By the time your career is over, you're just going to be a washed loser. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to your own fan base. Fix it, Colby. fix it. So let me know your thoughts down there in the comments. What are the odds of Colby Covington actually fighting Ian Garry out of 10? Put it down there in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I will see you all on Saturday night for UFC 301 or in the next video. See ya.